Hello everybody and welcome to the channel Out of Ammo, Out of Time. I'm your host as always, Krabby Terror 8, and here we are in episode 42. Yes, I'm getting better at remembering that. Episode 42 of season 1 of the Investigator Games with everybody's favourite spy, Trish Scarborough. Yes, now for those of you who are new to the channel, I welcome you heartily. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you very much for watching. What is the Investigator Games, I hear you cry? Well, it's a little bit like the Hunger Games, I suppose. What we do is we take each investigator true solo with their Fantasy Flight Game standard starter deck, and we take them through a scenario. Now in Season 1, it's the Gathering, and we see how they go. And then we move on to Season 2, which we've already done a number of, which was the Midnight Masks. And we take their carryover points and we keep going. Now here in Season 1 in The Gathering, we've already done 41 investigators. And this is how they look in the league table. Yes, and you can see in Season 1, we've got everybody from the tip top right down to the bottom. Now, The Gathering, of course, has its own little quirks and things in the way that it works, but we can see that Safina Rousseau is sitting at the top of the table, and that's not necessarily because, you know, she's an outstanding investigator necessarily, but she was lucky enough to be able to bag one of the additional ghouls, which her and there's only 4 that managed to do that: Safina, Akachi, Silas, and Leo. So only 10%, if you like. It's a 10% chance of not only getting the ghoul, but being able to defeat one of those ghouls as well. So Safina was able to do that fastest by 11 turns, and also get the Ghoul Priest, and also get all of the clues at the attic and the cellar. And sorry, spoilers, if you are new to this game, brand spanking new, please play this game in real life. Seek out introductory videos. It's fine if you're coming along and you haven't played that much and you just want to see how some new investigators play, that's fine. But if you are brand new, I would really recommend you play it first. Now, apart from that, we've had some pretty fast plays recently with these investigators from the Innsmouth campaign. So we had Sister Mary, who managed to finish The Gathering by turn 7, which was blisteringly fast, and Amanda Sharp also pretty fast as well. So they're also pretty high up in the table, and then it goes all the way down through various iterations. After Min, we get into sort of lower levels of XP, because not all of either the Ghoul Priest wasn't defeated, or they didn't get all of the clues, and we go down all the way down to, not surprisingly, Calvin, who had some challenges. So there you go. So yes, I would recommend that you maybe see some of the other plays in Season 1 of The Gathering. The first videos are a little bit ropey from an audio perspective. That has improved over time, I have to say. And then you can watch them in the Midnight Masks as these same plucky investigators carry on to see whether they're top of the table and become showered in glory, or will be hanging their heads in infamy forever. And then by 2055, I'll have finished every single one of these campaigns. I don't know. We'll see how we go. I keep adding extra investigators all the time. So yes, that's just a taste of that. And also, I did do an in-depth analysis of The Gathering. That is also on my channel. I would really recommend people watch that as well, where I go into every aspect of The Gathering. For those of you who have seen that, and I did one on Roland as well, I am writing an in-depth analysis of the Midnight Masks as we speak. They do take quite a while to complete, so I'm hoping to have that done probably over the Christmas holidays, that kind of time. But it does take quite a long time to do. But I do enjoy doing them very much. Anyway, enough about all that carry on. Let's talk about Trish Scarborough. So Trish Scarborough, yes, she is a spy. She is traded agency and detective. And as I said, she is the rogue investigator for the Innsmouth conspiracy. I've actually played Trish in Eldritch Horror as well. She's a pretty interesting investigator. And what we'll do is we'll just go through her stats and various bits and pieces, and then we'll go through her starter deck. We'll talk a little bit about that. and then we will get going. So yes, Trish, as we'll see on the back, is unusual because she is a dual investigator in Rogue and Seeker, which I don't think that combo we've seen before. It is a interesting combo because Seekers and Rogues don't necessarily mix usually that well, but yes, we do have a Rogue Seeker combo, and I'm all for Seekers. I do like Seekers very much, so I'm very happy that there is a Rogue Seeker combo, and we can see that in her stat line because her stat line is very strong on agility and intellect, but correspondingly very weak on willpower and strength. So what you can immediately see just from reading that is that she's not going to be fighting, and taking willpower test is going to be a little bit of a challenge for Trish. So that's a downside, particularly since her mental health is not the strongest. So probably that's her biggest weakness. But in terms of getting clues and evading enemies, she's very strong. So in that way, she's a little bit like Ursula, because Ursula is also strong in agility and intellect. And they both sort of have an ability which allows them to investigate up extra clues. So in a way, they'd make a pretty interesting combo, I think, Ursula and Trish, because you wouldn't be fighting enemies, you'd be rushing around, evading enemies, rushing around and getting clues fairly fast. I think that would make a great combo, personally. So there you go. So anyway, Trish, yes, she has her special ability, which is a reaction trigger. Pretty interesting reaction trigger, actually. After you discover one or more clues at a location with an enemy, you can either discover an additional clue at that location or automatically evade that enemy, and you can do that once per round. Now, so that's pretty good at a location with an enemy, not a specific location. So that's actually quite an important thing. It doesn't really apply here to this deck, but you can imagine with cards like Intel Report and cards like that, you could actually be investigating at another location but where you would trigger this ability. So there's all kinds of interesting sort of combos with Trish. But I guess flavor-wise, it's the idea is that she's sort of sneaking around and getting clues and evading enemies. She's behind the scene, she's in the shadows, that kind of thing. Now, when you read her reaction ability, particularly for solo, it kind of like, well, okay, if you discover a clue, then you can get an additional clue or you can evade, but wouldn't you take an attack of opportunity? So yes, you would, although there is ways to offset that. But more typically, and when I've played it, particularly in solo, because of course, in multiplayer it's a little bit different, but in solo, typically what you were doing is you evade an enemy at your location, then you would discover a clue, or you would investigate to get a clue, and then because there's an enemy there, you would get an additional clue. So you're picking up 2 clues, so very efficient. That's more the way it sort of seems to work in solo. Now in multiplayer, it would be a little bit different, of course, because it's just you discover one or more clues at a location with an enemy. So you may not be engaged with the enemy. Someone else in your team could be engaged with an enemy, but there is still an enemy at a location where you discover a clue, and therefore you can evade that enemy or you can get another clue. So Trish works pretty well in multiplayer and solo from that perspective. Now, we'll be playing solo, of course, so we're more going to be focused on the idea of evade, investigate, pick up 2 clues. That kind of thing is going to be quite a strong theme with Trish. So that makes her very efficient in terms of getting clues, which is why I wonder about her and Ursula. They would be dynamite together from that perspective. Now, her Elder Sign effect is a robust +2. And if now this is very situational, though. Apart from that, if this is an investigation, you may choose any revealed location. You are now investigating as if you were at that location instead. So that could be some other location as well. So just kind of leans into this idea of being able to do additional things with investigations. So all kinds of interesting things could be going on with those. So there you go. It's pretty good on physical health. Mental health is okay, but only a 6, which means you wouldn't want to be taking too many attacks of opportunity to get her reaction trigger. And so, as I said, her willpower is also pretty low. So that means she's likely to be taking things like horror from, your rotting remains, things like that. So that's probably where she's most challenging. This particular Fantasy Flight deck doesn't include things like guts in it. So that's going to be challenging as well. So you would want allies around you, people like that, who can soak up a bit of horror for you, because that's going to be a challenge with that low willpower. So there we go. That's Trish. Let's just the other card actually, which also would work nicely with Trish, is of course the ally Lola Santiago. You can see there's a lot of good synergies there as well. Now let's flip her over. So here we go. So we can see it's standard deck size, rogue cards 0 to 5, neutral cards 0 to 5, and then seeker 0 to 2. So she can't get the high level seeker cards, but there are plenty of sort of lower level seeker cards which allow you to do investigations and things like that. And yeah, she has the usual sort of signature cards, which we'll look at in a second. But just her background, Trish had always excelled in both body and mind. Her unwavering focus on excellence and her fearless disposition a winning combination. Given her stellar academic and athletic records, everybody expected to see her become something great. Instead, Trish took a job at a commercial code company. The initial shock of her humble work eventually wore off, and the exceptional Trish Scarborough faded into obscurity. This suited Trish just fine, as it made it harder for anyone to realize the truth. Her job was a cover for her true work as a spy with the Black Chamber, the Bureau's code-breaking agency. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Yes, very interesting investigator. So there we go. That's her stats and whatnot in a nutshell. So let's have a look at her deck. So this is, I said, I've not made this deck. This is the official Fantasy Flight Games starter deck. They're not optimized. They're not perfect. And part of the reason for that is they assume you have the base game, one copy, and then you've got obviously the Innsmouth conspiracy. So they're kind of building from that. I have to say that again, they've gone back to not really using the neutral cards, which I think for Trish is probably a little bit disappointing, because you would want things like guts or something to offset the fact that your willpower is so low. But anyway, it is what it is. So this is her signature card. It's a 0-cost event. It's called In the Shadows. Massive 4 pips, 2 of them wild cards, 2 agility. You can fast play it after your turn begins. You can disengage from each enemy engaged with you, and until the end of the round, enemies cannot engage with you and cannot deal damage, and you cannot deal damage to enemies. So a pretty powerful card, and I just realized that one of the most challenging things in solo playing the Knight of the Zealot is getting to the third scenario, the Devourer Below, because it really punishes solo play, because of course, depending on how many cultists you manage to interview, you can end up trying to get through a lot of cultists to get to the sort of final location. Well, this kind of card would be perfect, because you could basically essentially just walk by them all. So a very nice card, which means that Trish would find that particular scenario much easier than others. So a great card, particularly good for the Ghoul Priest, of course, because you could disengage, wander over to the parlor, and get Leisure Chandler and wander back, something like that. Now, her signature weakness is an enemy weakness. They're called Shadow Agents. They're Hunter 3/3/5. While Shadow Agents is engaged with you, you cannot discover clues except by investigating. And after Shadow Agents is evaded, discard it. So I guess you can fight them, but you're not much of a fighter, so it would be about evading them. Now, of course, you could investigate, take an attack of opportunity, and then use that to automatically evade. That would be one way, but you would take obviously 2 damage in the process. But, that would be one way of dealing with it. You would just have to take that 2 damage. So, yeah, I mean, they are what they are. They're, not too bad. Yes, and the random basic weakness we drew, which we've strangely drawn recently as well, just a random draw, so there you go, is Day of Reckoning. End times, attach Day of Reckoning to the current agenda, then search the Chaos Bag for the Elder Sign token and seal it away on Day of Reckoning. This could mean the Elder Sign token is away for a long time. It could also mean that the Elder Sign is away just for a turn. It really depends on when it comes out. So yeah, it's pretty okay. So those are sort of her signature cards and the basic weakness she drew. Now there's some new cards in this deck which came out with the Innsmouth Conspiracy, and the first one is Obfuscation, which is a pretty good spell. It's fast, it uses 3 charges, and it has a reaction trigger. It's a 2-cost asset, and it sits in the Mystic, what's it called, the Mystic slots. When an enemy makes an attack of opportunity against you, spend a charge and cancel that attack. So this is an example. If you have this out, or well, you don't need to even have it out because it's fast, you want to investigate to evade, this is a card you could use to avoid that attack of opportunity. Very nice. So then we have a new Illicit Firearm, which is the .25 automatic. Pretty expensive, costs 4. Got 4 ammo. Now, if an enemy is exhausted, you get +2 fight and a +2 damage. So, again, leaning into the idea of evasion and then action. So there would be times when you would want to use this, obviously. But it, again, like a lot of rogue weapons, they're okay, but they can be very specific, situational specific, or they're not that strong. So this sort of falls in with those. There's also a Dark Ritual in here, which is a 1-cost asset. It's again sits in an arcane slot. You can seal up to 5 cursed tokens, and at the end of the Mythos phase, you must either spend resource or discard Dark Ritual. So, yeah, I can see this. I can see this being really helpful in a game where you're putting lots of cursed tokens in the Chaos Bag. I'm not sure that's going to happen much in the Gathering. But I can also see if you were lone wolfing a scenario, maybe there's one in the Innsmouth Conspiracy where there's lots of cursed tokens popping into the Chaos Bag. This would be a way of sealing 5 of them away, and because you've got lone wolf, you can keep paying for it, so it's no big deal. So yeah, that card's in there. This card here, a no-cost event called Faustian Bargain, is pretty good. So there's an additional cost to play it, which is to put 2 curse tokens in the Chaos Bag. Now, curse tokens, of course, the opposite of blessed tokens. There's a -2 to your skill test, and then you have to draw another token. Investigators at your location gain a total of 5 resources distributed as you wish. So you get 5 resources, wow, which, could be really a real boost at the beginning of a scenario in particular, where you need some assets, or maybe later in a scenario where you've got something like Hard Knocks out on the table, and you could do with the funds. So pretty good, really, particularly if you've got something like Hard Knocks, because if you do draw a curse token, you can potentially use the resources to offset the negatives if you happen to draw one. So there we go. There are some new rogue cards. And then we have this card here, Cryptographic Cipher, which is a 3-cost asset. It's an item. It's a tool, takes up a hand slot, has 3 secrets. And this fits very nicely with Trish's abilities, because it has a fast trigger here. Exhaust Cryptographic Cipher, spend a secret, investigate your location, gets +1 shroud. Now, it's fast, which means you could do that and if you succeeded, you would evade an enemy. So it's a way of getting that evasion happening without taking an attack of opportunity. If it's a one shroud location, it doesn't even have to have a clue on it. You're just investigating a location. It's a 2 and you're a 4, so you're already 2 up, so pretty good. You can also do it rather than that sort of fast action. You can do it as just a regular action. Exhaust Cryptographic Cipher and spend a secret. Investigate your location gets -2 shroud, so it's like a equivalent of it's like a sort of a super powered flashlight, really, in a way, kind of, yeah. So fits very nicely in Trish's deck. Again, I think would fit pretty nicely in the Zilla deck as well. So yeah, I can see that. Pretty good card. Now, we've seen this card before. It is new, but this is also in here. Deep Knowledge. It's an additional cost to play. Deep Knowledge, add 2 cursed tokens. So again, a bit like Faustian Bargain, you're adding 2 tokens to the Chaos Bag, but instead of getting 5 resources, you can draw a combined total of 3 cards. So again, pretty good at the beginning, get those your card pool up in that way. Particularly if you're playing someone like a Harvey, for example, who wants more cards anyway. Pretty good. There we go. So those are all the new cards. So we can see there's some really interesting cards from a Seeker Rogue Hybrid. Now, apart from that, all the other cards are standard in the base set, but the interesting choices here. 2 of the best allies. Now, this is not taboo. These Fantasy Flight Game starter decks are not taboo. It's hard enough to play them without adding the taboo. So there is a Milan Christopher in there, and there is a Leo DeLuca, 2 of the best allies in the whole damn game. So obviously can't have them both out at the same time. If I had to call for one, I'd probably go for Leo, because you just all those extra actions can make such a massive difference overall. Obviously, Milan Christopher is pretty good as well, because it boosts up your intellect and you get the extra resources. But probably if I had to choose the 2, I'd probably go for Leo. Then there's a few other weapons. Now, this is obviously thinking about the Ghoul Priest, how we're going to do that. There's a Derringer there, which, is okay. But you got to succeed by 2 or more to do 2 damage. There's a Switchblade, which, is all right, but again, succeed by 2 or more. And then we've got a Backstab, which, of course, is really in Trish's wheelhouse because she's evading a lot, and Sneak Attacks. There's a couple of ways of dealing damage as well. I'm really thinking, because we're relatively high intellect, it's probably that we'll be looking to get Leader Chandler on board, because we can evade the Ghoul Priest relatively easily, I would imagine. Get into the parlor. We've got a relatively high intellect, particularly if we had Milan Christopher on board. We should be able to get her onto the table, and then that will help us. So as long as we've got some of these, the 25 automatics and the Derringers and things, we shouldn't have much trouble dealing with the Ghoul Priest. And there's a Mind Over Matter, so we can even switch to our intellect if we really, really want. Now, she's a Seeker, of course, so she has ways of getting searching for clues. So there's a magnifying glass in here. There's the good old deduction, which, again, additional clues, which, you can use that. But, of course, we've got other ways of getting 2 clues. And then there's the good old working a hunch. Now, this discovers a clue. Now, here you have to, if you discover 1 or more clues, so it's discovery. It's not saying you have to. As long as you discover a clue. So that's all fine. Okay. And then there's some flashlights as well, if we need that for the cellar. Then in terms of other standard, yes, and then we have Burglary, which allows you to investigate, and then instead of discovering clues, you can get resources. There's a good old Opportunist, and of course Elusive, which is super duper helpful and powerful. It's a good card. Hard Knocks is in here. That can also be really helpful. I think for endgame against the Ghoul Priest, we can evade and we can fight. So it's really good in this deck. There's only 1 of them. And then Pickpocketing's pretty strong, because if you evade an enemy, you exhaust Pickpocketing, you draw a card, and then of course if you've evaded an enemy, that can be an automatic thing. So you could you could use it in that way as well. So there's a bit of a synergy there with Pickpocketing. And then we have some other other cards here for a seeker. We have an old book of lore, serial grab bag, hyper awareness. Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of an overlap between hyper awareness and hard knocks. Then we've got the good old barricade. And then a couple of emergency caches, which quite frankly, if you've got Faustian Bargain, you probably don't need all of those. So there you go. That's her deck. Don't know. What do you think? Pretty interesting. I think she's got a pretty good chance in this scenario. The only thing is, of course, the gathering isn't necessarily chock full of enemies. So her synergy with enemies doesn't necessarily apply as much as it might do in some other scenarios, but we will see how we go. Now, I had a chat to Trish before we started in the green room, but we didn't talk about very much because she won't talk about what she does. Usually she's pretty reticent about that. She's not someone to talk much about anything, really. But she did... I was a little bit disconcerted because she did share some information with me about some of the other investigators in the Investigator Games. So I don't know where she got that information from. I don't know what to do with it. I've got to think about that. But I was a little bit troubled about that. Let's just say she's very surface Trish. She seems all very pleasant and in a very neutral way. But you wonder about what's happening and going on under the surface. Anyway, she's in the study. She's just getting herself ready. She just seems to be walking around the study, just looking around, not doing very much. The crowd are coming in, sitting down. So all we've really got to do is just read out the agenda and act deck and then wait for the horn. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me just shuffle everything up. Let's make sure everything's shuffled up. There we go. Shuffle up. Great. Okay. So, agenda. What's going on? It's late at night and you're holed up in your study researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region. A few hours into your research, you hear the sound of strange chanting coming from the parlour down the hall. At the same time, you hear dirt churning as if something were digging beneath the floor. And trapped as you leap to investigate, and indeed Trish would leap, ready with a karate chop or something, a bit of taekwondo, ready to go. As you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes, leaving behind only solid wall. You're trapped inside your study until you can find another way out. There we go. Yes, so Trish, we're on standard difficulty, of course. We should be in turn 1. Let me just... Nope. And there goes the horn for the start of the Investigator Games. The crowd goes wild. Everybody is in anticipation. Interestingly, Trish doesn't wave to the crowd. She seems very focused. And so she's ready to go in the Investigator Games. Okay, so here we are. We are ready to go. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? Well, I can tell you what we want. We either want Leo DeLuca or Milan Christopher. Yes, I think, either of them would be welcome. Obviously, Leo would be preferable, but it would be great to get one of them. It would also be good to get a weapon, so at least we can have a good go at taking on any enemies that pop up. The other thing is that Cryptographic Cipher is pretty good, so I wouldn't mind having that down on the table. Apart from that, Backstab and those sorts of things, for the Ghoul Priest at least, if not in the initial part of the game, would also be good. So let's see how we go. Let's shuffle up and let's draw our 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's our first 5 cards. Obviously, we can't have a weakness. Both our weaknesses. Oh, that's going to be that kind of game. Here we go. Let's keep pickpocketing. And let's keep working a hunch. But I'm going to throw these other 3 in. Actually, I really want the allies, so I'm going to throw them all in and draw another 5. I'm going to be really aggressive about this, so we'll draw another 5, and we get Milan Christopher. Okay, great. I'm glad we did that. So let's put all these back. Shuffle that up. We definitely want to shuffle that up. Okay, so pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. We've got Trish's puts her signature card in the shadows. That's very nice. We have got a couple of weapons here, the 25 automatic and the switchblade. We also got the Cryptographic Cipher, and we got Malign Christopher, which is good because all this is quite expensive. So we're going to need cash if we're going to use all of this. So awesome. All right, pretty good, pretty good. So let's, for our first action, let's spend 4 and bring out Milan. So we'll bring out Malign Christopher. So we're now 5 intellect. Got no cash now, but that's all right. We don't need to play the switchblades. For our second action, let's go ahead and investigate. So the study is a 2. We are a 5. So a 2 versus 5. Chaos Bag gives us a 0, so we succeed. Now, it says, after you discover one or more clues of location with an enemy, additional clue, evade the enemy. Well, there's neither of those things, so it's just pretty standard. Okay, but we do get a resource from Milan. Yeah, so we get a resource. Okay, and let's do it again. Same thing. 1 versus 5. Chaos Bag is auto-fail. Okay, it's going to be one of those games, is it? All right. Okay, fair enough. All right. So there we go. That was our first round. Kind of went according to plan. We got out Malign Christopher. We successfully investigated, and then we auto-failed on our second one. Trish is clearly having difficulty finding the second clue, but that's all right. We will get that next time. So there we go. There's our first turn. So we'll move into the enemy phase, or yes, the enema phase, as I like to call it. There are no enemies to speak of, so we move into upkeep and we get working hunch. Great. Okay. Discover a clue. Nice. Okay. So let's, and does that fit with after you discover one or more clues? Yeah. So we can use that to fast play, discover a clue, and evade an enemy. So it's a nice way of, either evading an enemy or getting an additional clue if there's already an enemy there. Cool. Okay, so let's move into the first Mythos phase. First Doom is down. Let's see what the lovely encounter deck has for us. And the encounter deck has a Ghoul Minion. A Ghoul Minion. There we go. Yes. Okay. All right. Yes, okay. So we will move into the investigation phase. 3 actions onto Trish. So we've got a couple of choices here. We could go ahead and just evade the Ghoul Minion. And if we evade the Ghoul Minion, we can then, we could... what's the best thing to do? Because we could use... So we could evade the Ghoul Minion and just straight up investigate and then get out of the study. Yeah, we could do that. The other thing we could do is we could play Working a Hunch, which means we would fast discover a clue, which means we wouldn't take an attack of opportunity, and then we could automatically evade the enemy. And then... we would still have 3 actions, so that's kind of efficient, really, isn't it? I'm thinking that's true. Now, do we get the Milan after you successfully investigate? No, we wouldn't. It wouldn't be a successful investigation, but that's very efficient, isn't it? So I'm liking that. I might do that. So I'm going to spend 2. I'm going to fast play Working a Hunch. So we fast play Working a Hunch. We discover a clue at our location. We don't take an attack of opportunity because it's a fast play. And because we discovered a clue with an enemy, we can automatically evade that enemy. Where have you gone? There we go. So the enemy is evaded. Or we could have discovered an additional clue, but there's no additional clues. We don't get the resource, obviously, because we didn't successfully investigate. We just discovered a clue. And then we will throw in the 2 clues, which means we flip the trapped and we go to, you notice that the edges of your newly purchased rug are tattered and mud-stained. Finding this odd, you shift the furniture aside and pull back the rug. To your surprise, you see the door leading out of your study. You slowly turn the knob and the door swings open, revealing your hallway below. You jump, double pike, through the doorway, landing on your feet on soft dirt, ready to attack. The doors to the study slam shut above you, narrowly missing your head. The smell of burning wood fills the narrow hall, intermingled with the scent of rotten decay. Put into play the hallway, cellar, attic, and parlour, discarding each enemy from the study. Put the investigator in the hallway and remove the study from the game. Okay, let's just go ahead and do all that. Carry on. So the ghoul minion has gone. The study has gone. We are now in the hallway. Let's flip the hallway. Yeah, there we go. And we are in the barrier. A glowing barrier blocks the path to your parlour. As you move toward it, intense heat forces you to back away, picking up a handful of dirt. You toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar or attic that can help. When the round ends, investigators in the hallway may as a group spend the requisite number of clues, which is 3 to advance. There we go. So there we go. That was all very fast and efficient because we fast play working a hunch, evaded, threw in the clues. We probably could have just thrown in the clues. Is that a fast action? Probably is. Anyway, doesn't matter. And then we got ourselves into the hallway. Okay, so what are we going to do from here? Well, we're going to do what we always do, which is la-di-da-di-da, up to the attic, flip the attic, 2 clues, the sign of domestic bliss and home butchery is just too much for Trish, and she takes a horror. Right, so here we are in the study. We don't have enough money to pay for any of this, but hopefully we can get some money now. So we will go ahead, 1 versus 5. We will investigate. In fact, we will investigate twice. So first 1 versus 5, 0. We get a clue and a resource. And we'll do it again. And we get a -1, and we get the clue. We get another resource. And the crowd goes wild because, of course, we get the first victory point. There we go. Not bad. Turn 2, up in the attic. Trish, like the other Innsmouth investigators, is doing this really, really fast. So that's great. So we can head off to the cellar. The only thing is we need some weaponry and whatnot down on the table. We're probably going to need the cryptographic cipher because we don't have... I mean, we're running at a 5, but it would probably be better to use the cryptographic cipher, to be honest. But anyway, there we go. That's the end of our turn. That was very successful. Got ourselves up to the attic and investigated. Okay, let's move into the enemy phase. No enemies to speak of, so we move into upkeep and we get the Faustian Bargain. So that's nice because that's 5 resources. So do we need it, though? I don't know that we need it. I might keep it, particularly for the willpower pip, because if we get the good old Crypt Chill, I just realised you're probably all screaming at me. But of course, if we got Crypt Chill, we would kind of be a bit buggered because we'd lose Milan Christopher. So we probably need it. I mean, we've got in the shadows, I suppose, we could use to try and offset something like a Crypt Chill or a Rotting Remains. But luckily, he says, we haven't drawn those so far. So, and we can use that to get Leader Chandler as well. Okay. So let's move into the second Mythos phase. Let's see what the encounter deck has. And it has Ancient Evils. So there we go. There's a 3 Doom. We'll flip that over and have a read. Your house continues to change. Your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It's almost as if you've been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. Ah, there's my replica version of a James Bond Aston Martin. Ah, yes. There's my pen, which seconds as a gun and a microphone, that kind of thing. Lead investigator must decide either discard a card at random from his or her hand or take 2 horror. I think I'll take the 2 horror. I'll put a horror on Milan and I'll take another horror. I don't really want to lose the cards. Hello? Yep, there we go. And we are up to Rise of the Ghouls. The floor beneath you is giving way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. There's lots of alliteration here. Tunnels twisting, shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do. There we go. 7 Doom. Okay, so that's all that. Let's see what the encounter deck has. No, that was the encounter deck, wasn't it? Because we got Ancient Evils. Woohoo! Nearly drew 2 encounter cards. Whoa, let's not do that. Okay, so let's move into the investigation phase. 3 actions on to Trish. Let's move down to the cellar. Donk, donk, donk. And we're so busy talking to Milan Christopher about this very interesting cryptographic cipher that we don't watch what we're doing. Milan Christopher screams out, "Look out!" Too late. We go tumbling down the stairs and we take a damage. Ouch. Never mind. Here we are. Okay, we're here. Now, we've got a choice here. We could bring out the cryptographic cipher, or we could just investigate 5 versus 4. Because I'm thinking we need the cash to bring out some weaponry as well, don't we? And I'm also thinking about, oh yeah. I'm worried about getting a crypt chill, and I'm worried we have no weaponry. So I'm actually, rather than getting another clue, there should be 2 clues on here, right at the moment, I'm going to spend 4. And I'm going to bring out the 25 automatic with 4 ammo. Just so I've got something to defend myself with if I need to. Or if we got something like the Icy Ghoul and we wanted to take it out, we need something. So, yeah. Okay. So next time we'll investigate and we'll get these clues. Yes. Okay. So we move into the enemy phase. No enemies to speak of. We move into upkeep. We can get Dark Ritual. So, yeah, I can see us getting Leech Chandler at this rate. Okay. So let's move into the... Let's move into the Mythos phase. The first Doom is down. Let's see what the encounter deck has. And can you believe it? It's the Icy Ghoul. Wow. You wouldn't read about it. Oh my goodness. Wow. How was that for... Wow, that's just incredible. Okay. Amazing. All right. Well, that was unexpected. And this doesn't happen very often. So things have taken a bit of a change here. So there we go. The Icy Ghoul is with us. Let's move into the investigation phase. 3 actions. And this is really good because did I flip this over? Yes, I did. Because we can obviously discover clues with an enemy, additional clues, or we can evade the enemy and then discover a clue and get a second clue. Now, we don't want to go ahead and discover a clue because we take an attack of opportunity, although it would be one way. I mean, we could take the attack of opportunity and then evade the enemy, but I think that's... Oh, if only I'd had the cryptographic cipher out, but then again... Yeah, the fast action would have made it a Shroud of 5, so probably not. That probably wouldn't work here. Anyway, because it would have been a 5 versus 5. So, I mean, we could have committed other cards to get there, but we are where we are. Okay, so here we are. So... if we're going to use the 25, we can get +2 fight and do +1 damage. What's the Icy Ghoul? A 3. Or we could bring out the Switchblade and fight. But then we have to succeed by 2 or more. And we're only a fight of 2. See, with the Icy Ghoul there, the skulls are -1. So at the moment, if we wanted to evade the Icy Ghoul, it would be a 4 on a 4. So unless we start throwing in some cards, that's not going to happen. So we've got a couple of choices here. We can't just fight straight up. We could take an attack of opportunity to try and get a clue, and that would automatically evade the enemy, but that really doesn't feel like a good thing to do. So I think I didn't want to use this, but I think I'm going to have to commit in the shadows, because I want to kill this Icy Ghoul. Don't get me wrong, I just don't want to evade it. I want to get the victory point. So I'm going to give myself an 8 versus a 4. So we're going to evade 8 versus 4 on the Icy Ghoul. Chaos Bag gives us a +1, so we succeed. The Icy Ghoul is evaded. There we go. Second action. I guess we can fight, can't we? Or do we... discover one or more clues at the location. Additional clue. I think we go ahead and fight, because we can... Okay, so we will go ahead and fight. So we're talking about a 4, a 6, because it's exhausted. If you attack, you get 6. 6 versus 3. So this is our second action. 6 versus 3. Chaos Bag gives us a -1, so we succeed, and we do 2 damage. Ow! And we will do that again. We will shoot the Icy Ghoul again. And again, because the Icy Ghoul is exhausted, it's a... it wasn't a 6 versus a 3. What was I talking about? Sorry. It wasn't a 6 versus a 3. It was a 4 versus a 3. 4 versus a 3, and we got a -1. So we still succeeded. Sorry about that. I don't know why I thought it was 6. So we succeeded. This time, Chaos Bag gives us a 0, and we succeed again. 4 versus 3. That's right, isn't it? 2, 3, 4 versus 3. Yep. And we kill the Icy Ghoul. Ow! Icy Ghoul is dead with 4 damage. And the crowd goes wild because that is a victory point. Yay! Brilliant. So we get a victory point. And that's the end of our go. So, wow. So we're talking about the chances of getting an extra ghoul, and we got one, which is absolutely brilliant. We're only in turn 4, and we've already got that. So next time we can focus on getting these other 2 clues, and then we can get ourselves ready for the Ghoul Priest. So things are going really well for Trish at the moment. Pretty well. That was really good. We had to use our In the Shadows, though, which I wanted to keep for the Ghoul Priest, but that's all right. It was worth it to get the victory point. There we go. Okay, so we move into the enemy phase. No enemies to speak of, so we move into upkeep. We get emergency cash. We're going to be flush with cash. If only we had hard knocks or something so that we could realize some of this cash. That would make a huge difference. So we move into the Mythos Phase. Second Doom is down. Let's see what the encounter deck has. It's got rats. All of a sudden, they're coming thick and fast. Okay. So we will move into the Investigation Phase. 3 actions onto Trish. Now, I know this is really good in a way, because this means we can... if we can evade this enemy, we can get both clues in one hit. So it's a 3 and we are a 4. So what I'm going to do first is evade the rats. So I'm going to throw in the switchblade. So we are now a 5 versus a 3. Chaos Bag gives us a -1, so we succeed. We evade the rats. Rats are exhausted. That's our first action. Second action. Let's go ahead and investigate here. So we are a 5 versus a 4. Let's make that a 6 versus a 4. Second action. 6 versus 4. Chaos Bag gives us a -3. Okay. Let's do it again. Let's throw in the Cryptographic Cipher. So we are a 6 again. 4, 5, 6 versus 4. Chaos Bag gives us a 0, so we succeed this time. And because if you discover one or more clues with an enemy, discover an additional clue. So we can get both clues. There we go. And we get another victory point, and the crowd goes wild. There we go. So that was pretty successful. We evaded the rats, which meant we then failed to get a clue, and then we succeeded and got both clues. So next time we can deal with the rats, and we should have given ourselves a resource because we successfully investigated. So now it's really a case of just getting ourselves ready for the Ghoul Priest, really. We're getting a bit low in cards. So next time, let's deal with these rats and let's get ourselves some more cards, and hopefully we'll be ready to deal with the Ghoul Priest. Hard knocks would be great. So we move into enemy phase. Enemy is exhausted. We move into upkeep. We get another Cryptographic Cipher, which is now really the only use for this now is really to get Leader Chandler. So let's move into the Mythos Phase 3 Doomer down. Let's see what the encounter deck has. I can't believe this. A Flesh Eater. And he's only got a 1. So we could go and get the Flesh Eater. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay. This has never happened before. This is a first time. Amazing. Okay. Wow. Wow. Incredible. We have never had this happen. I don't think we've ever had both ghouls come out. So this is an opportunity for Trish Scarborough to end up with the maximum number of XP ever. Wow. Okay. Let's move into the investigation phase. 3 actions onto Trish. Well, the first thing we need to do is obviously evade the rats. Or attack the rats. Well, we're a 2. And they are a 1. Or 4 versus 3. It's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, really, isn't it? So let's just go ahead and punch the rats. So we will punch the rats. Chaos Bag gives us no auto fail. We will try again. Punch the rats and we kill the rats. So then let's move back to the hallway. There we go. Wow. Okay, so next time we can move up to the attic. Yes, we'll take a horror, but then we can easily evade the Flesh Eater and shoot the Flesh Eater to death. Wow. Amazing. Okay. There we go. So that was fairly successful. We're getting a couple of auto fails, but we're doing pretty well. Enemy phase, there are no enemies to speak of, so we move into upkeep and we get an opportunist. Nice card. Okay, let's move into the Mythos phase. There are 4 doom down. Let's see what the encounter deck has, and of course it was only a matter of time before it arrived. Oh dear. Okay, so we are only a 2. And that means we've got to lose one of these 2. I mean, I suppose Malign Christopher is sort of less important now, whereas the gun is super important. But I think what we will do is we will commit, because I don't want to lose either of them if I can help it. We'll commit Opportunist and Faustian Bargain. So that's a 4 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us a skull, which is a 0, which means we succeed, but we don't succeed by 3 or more, so we lose these 2 cards, but we don't lose any cards from Crypt Chill. There we go. So we'll move into the investigation phase. 3 actions on to Trish. Here we go, here we go. First action, back up to the attic. La-di-da-di-da, up to the attic. We take another horror. Horror, 3 horror now. So we have the Flesh Eater here. Nom, 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 nom. Second action, we will evade the Flesh Eater. A 1 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us an Elder Sign. Wow. +2. If this is an investigation, it's not. So we evade the Flesh Eater. Oops. We evade the Flesh Eater. And then for our final action, that's right, isn't it? We started in the hallway, we moved, we evaded. Final action, we will fight. So we get a 4. Oh, it's a 4 versus a 4. Ooh, I didn't. I didn't realize it's a 4 versus a 4. I might see if I can draw into some extra cards here. So I'm going to actually draw a card. I draw Leo DeLuca. Okay. All right. Well, we'll move into the enemy phase. There are enemies, and then the enemy is back. And we get a Burglary. We're not really getting any fight cards or backstabs or anything like that. That's kind of annoying. But anyway. Okay, so we'll move into the Mythos Phase 5. It's getting a bit late here, isn't it? Let's see what the encounter deck has. And it has another Crypt Chill. Oh boy. Okay. Now this time we can't do anything about this. We're just going to have to test straight up, and we get a -1. So we fail. We'll lose Milan Christopher. Yep. So we will move into the investigation phase. 3 actions on to Trish. The first action will be to evade again. So a 1 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives a 0, so we've evaded again. The good old Flesh Eater. Oh, I keep doing that. There we go. Second action is not surprising. We're going to spend our 6 resources. And we're going to bring out Leo, which means we get an extra action. 2 actions left. I'm going to draw a card. And I'm going to draw another card. Oh, we're really not getting what we need, are we? This is very frustrating because the problem is we can fight, but we'll just be a 4 versus a 4 and skulls are -1. So the chances of us succeeding are kind of low. Anyway, very frustrating. We move into the enemy phase, no enemies to speak of. We move into upkeep and we get hyper awareness, which is not really the one that we wanted. But anyway. Okay. So we will move into Mythos Phase 6 Doom. Let's see what the encounter deck has. Frozen in Fear. That is actually something I didn't want to get. That is really hard for us to deal with. Very, very hard because, oh man. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Things have gone a bit awry. But then again, we've got Leo DeLuca, so it's not as bad as it could be. So we will move into the investigation phase 4 actions on to Trish. First 2 actions, I should say, are to evade. Let's see what the Chaos Bag has, -1, so we evade again. 4 versus 4. No chances of us succeeding. I think we draw another card. Elusive. I'll draw another card. We're going to start. We have, a backstab or something. Anyway, that's the end of our turn. We've now got this Frozen in Fear. Can we commit anything to it? We can commit the Old Book of Law. I think that's all. So that gives us a 3 versus a 3. Chaos Bag gives us a +1, so we succeed and we get rid of the Frozen in Fear. I'm starting to get really upset now because I'm not getting what I need, and I'm worried that we're going to end up with our other weaknesses if I keep drawing cards. Yeah, it's not good. Enemy phase, no enemies. Upkeep, we get hard knocks. Well, that's good. Okay. So we can that's gonna make a big difference. Okay. Ooh, all right. Okay, I think we can do this now, but it's going to be turn 10, Mythos Phase. There we go. That now flips. This is really getting interesting. I don't know whether we've bitten off more than we can chew here, but anyway, we'll keep going. A feral beast, roughly humanoid with a canine cast and hooves for feet, tears through the ground in front of you. Below the floor, you can see vast tunnels beneath your house. Fiendish howling echoes from deep within the underground caverns. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a ghoul enemy is discarded. The lead investigator draws that enemy. Okay. Yep. Shuffle. Okay, and nope. Nope. Yes, ghoul minion. Okay, so we get a ghoul minion as well. Good job we got rid of the frozen in fear. This is turning very interesting. Okay, and then we have to draw an encounter card. Oh, but first we'll just read this. They're getting out. You hear a crazed howl outside, and suddenly all the creatures turn their attention to that sound. They rush to escape the house, breaking down doors and clawing at everything in their way. At the end of the enemy phase, each unengaged ghoul enemy moves one location towards the parlor. At the end of the round, place one doom on the agenda for each ghoul enemy in the hallway. Okay, so there we go. Let's see what the encounter deck has. And oh my goodness. Oh no. Oh my goodness. Things have gone from bad to worse. It is a ghoul party in the attic. Oh boy. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. Investigation phase 4 actions on to Trish. Okay, so we've got a couple of choices here. We could... oh boy, this is This has become really, really tough. I think we're going to have to leave these ghouls because I think, you know, it's fine to even have 2, but 3 is just too much, unfortunately. So I'm going to spend 2. I'm going to use elusive, disengage from each enemy, and move to a reveal location. So we will move to the hallway. So these 3 enemies are left in the attic. So that was a real waste of time. I mean, I could have tried to have used the automatic, but the chances of me succeeding with a ghoul where the skulls were -1 was really low. So that was frustrating. Our first action, I'm going to play emergency cash. My second action, I'm going to spend 2 and bring out hard knocks. Oh, I've just realised they are all going to move into the hallway, aren't they? Third action, I'm going to move to the cellar and take a damage. I don't really know what else to do because otherwise I'm going to get hit. And then fourth action, I'm going to take a resource. Yeah, I just realized I should have gone straight to the cellar. Anyway, too bad. Didn't do it. Too bad, so sad. Okay, things are I don't know what I'm going to do here. Anyway, we will move into the enemy phase. And the enemies all move towards the parlour. Oh, dear. Okay. Upkeep, we get another 25 automatic. We'll move into here, but hold on. At the end of the round, you put 3 more doom onto here. Okay, oh dear. All right, things are bad. Really bad. All right. Oh, hold on. I didn't draw from the encounter deck. Oh, great. No, Rotting Remains. Oh, no, Rotting Remains. So we're a 2 versus a 3, and I don't think we don't. So we're a 2 versus a 3. Chaos Bag gives us a +1. That was lucky. So that's a 3 versus a 3. Okay. Wow. So lucky. Oh, okay. So we get 4 actions onto Trish. Okay. So I think I really don't know what to do here. It's really I think we're going to have to take on these because we've got this, well, yeah, we've got this other 45 automatic. So, and we've now got hard knocks, I suppose. Or we, what do we do here? It's a 1 shroud, isn't it? Okay. First action, I'm going to move back to the hallway. I really don't know what else to do. I can't bring out the Ghoul Priest at the moment. Second action, I'm going to evade the Flesh Eater. 1 versus 4. Chaos Bag gives us a -3, so we succeed. So we exhaust the Flesh Eater. I'm just going to leave him here. Third action, I'm going to shoot the Flesh Eater. So he's a 4. And we are a 2, 4. 4 versus 4. No, this is... Let's make that a 6. A 6 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us an Elder Sign. So we get +2. So we do 2 points of damage. Elder Sign, if this is... No, it's not. Okay, so we succeed. And then I'm going to go again and I'm going to shoot again. I can add an extra fight pip, so that gives us 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 versus 4. Chaos Bag gives us a skull. No, so we fail. Okay, all right. Let's move into the enemy phase. So we take 2 damage and 2 horror. 2 damage, 2 horror. All right. Oh dear, I'm not sure this is... Okay. All right. There's another 3 doom on there, so things are going to end very soon. All right, so we move into the Mythos phase. Chaos. Counter deck gives. Oh no, not another Rotting Remains, please. Oh no. All right. We are a 2 versus a 3. Chaos Bag gives us a -1, so we take 2 horror. So I think we have to put them both on Leo DeLuca. We do. So Leo DeLuca goes. All right. So we move into the investigation phase. Really, this is all that's left, really. Oh dear. 3 actions on to Trish. Oh, boy. All we can do is evade and survive. So first action is to evade the Ravenous Ghoul. A 3 versus a 4. We can make that a 3 versus a 5. 3 versus a 5. Chaos Bag gives us a -1, so we evade the Ravenous Ghoul. Next action, we will evade the Flesh Eater. 1 versus a 4. 1 versus a 4. Chaos Bag gives us a -4. 1 versus a 4. Ah, boy. So we'll have to evade him again. 1 versus a 4, -1. So we evade the Icy Ghoul. Then we move into the enemy phase. We get 1 damage and 1 horror, and that's it. Oh dear, oh dear. And Trish goes running, screaming from the gathering. Oh boy, that went from such a high to a complete low that we just ended up in a terrible place. That was so frustrating. And I thought we would really have gotten to a much better place than we actually did. Where's the Icy Ghoul gone? But we ended up with 1, 2... Where's the Icy Ghoul? Oh, it must have ended up back in... Anyway, we ended up with 5 victory points with the Icy Ghoul. Unfortunately, we weren't able to defeat the Flesh Eater as well. We just got overrun with ghouls, and in solo, that's really hard, particularly when our fight was so low. We were just trying to get that extra ghoul in the attic. It could have gone our way, but it didn't, and we ended up just not getting anywhere, and then we just ended up getting swamped with a ton of ghouls. We could have dealt with 2, but when the Ravenous Ghoul came out as well, that was all just too much for Trish, and she really just couldn't keep going. So there we go. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Now, next time we will be taking the Mystic Investigator from the Innsmouth Conspiracy through. And that is, of course, Dexter Drake. And we will see how he goes, hopefully a little bit better than Trish. But thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.